10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at GenSuperstore.com.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
97.7 The Zone.
Now on Saturday, you are willing to give a little extra, then you, because of your preparation, and the things I'm trying to get across to you, and if we do that as a team, 11 at a time, 4 years from now, we'll be walking out of here national champion. And I'll tell you this, I expect nothing less.
97.7 The Zone.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by The Good Feet Store. For over 25 years, The Good Feet Store has been helping people get back to the life they love without their feet getting in the way. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On Wednesday, Alabama football welcomed new signees as part of the early signing period for the class of 2025. Here are thoughts from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Kalen DeBoer.
I mean, there are different levels to what you got to do, right? Number one is identifying evaluation, first of all, identifying the guys that you need to be contacting, and then you're behind on the relationship building. Yeah. There's guys, there's some guys on the West Coast that we have in our class that we had some relationships with just from, coming out from out there. But I think the biggest thing with the mindset was we got to get our message out. We got to get these guys on campus and, just comparing. And we have some staff that carried over, how many guys we brought with their families. It was kind of an anyone and everyone get to campus. And I think there was 400, 500, prospects.
I'll have more in a moment.
This is Christian Miller for the Good Feet Store. I know from playing football at Alabama and in the NFL that if you have foot, knee, hip, or back pain, it can be a huge challenge. The Good Feet Store is designed to personally fit you with arch supports that alleviate and even eliminate your pain altogether. Try them before you buy them. They're in your free, no obligation, personalized fitting, and you can wear them home the same day. So if you're looking to improve your game, the Good Feet Store has you covered. Stop in for a free, personalized fitting today. Roll to victory at goodfeet.com. That's goodfeet.com. Roll Tide.
Join us this afternoon for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, streaming live at 2 p.m. Central on all CTSN social media platforms. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by The Good Feet Store. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome in. Welcome back. We're brand new. We're live. We're a Thursday edition show. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome into the program on a Thursday morning. It was kind of a wet start to your day, so safe travels into work, into school, wherever you may be headed today. A lot of stuff going on, and it starts with college basketball last night. The SEC ACC Challenge is in the books. Alabama, 10th ranked Alabama, 20th ranked North Carolina last night. That's how we opened the night. 94-79 victors are Alabama. 6 players, double figures. Mark Sears, 20 points, game high, 7 assists. Aiden Holloway, LeBaron Philon, each finished with 15 apiece. Clifford Amore, Darian Reed, Grant Nelson, double figures as well.
It's always great when you start cleaning out the Dean Dome with about 4.5 minutes to go, and they all start leaving, realizing it's not a football game, that Alabama just whipped their ass in basketball all over the floor. And after seeing North Carolina and Maui, I thought Alabama could go over there and win the game if they played well, but you still have to go over there and execute.
Yeah.
But Alabama did. They kept their live ball turnovers down. Sears attacked the rim early, got going downhill. Then he supplemented it with some 3-point marksmanship. And then Aiden Holloway was tremendous. He had 5 threes of his own to account for his 15 points. The Philon was a problem in transition for North Carolina. They couldn't stay in front of him. Amore had a nice game around the rim. He got off to a little bit of a slow start, but they kind of wore him down. Grant Nelson did a nice job as well. And then one of the bigger plays in the game was the one-handed oop to Darian Reed to kind of stop a North Carolina run. Honestly, Carolina came out of the locker room down 9, cut it to 5, and then once Alabama went on a run to get it to double digits, the closest Carolina got twice was 10. I mean, they were basically fighting an uphill battle the entire second half, and that's what you have to do to beat a team like that, because there's going to be some questionable whistles. And
it's your first true road game, right? Is this the first true?
No, they went to Purdue.
Oh, that's right.
And lost to the Boilermakers, who are a really good team. But again, it
happened on a Friday night during high school football season.
And it was on Peacock, which a lot of people couldn't get because of all the brilliance of that. But anyway, I thought it was a really good win for Alabama. And does the ACC play basketball? I'm just asking that. Besides the Duke Blue Devils and the Clemson Tigers, do they play basketball?
You know what? The SEC so far this season,
I asking that question.
I believe it's 12-3 now, because they've played because Auburn had played North Carolina in the Maui.
It was 14-2 in this supposed SEC ACC challenge. It wasn't much of a challenge. Okay.
No, what has happened to the ACC?
It's total mediocrity, and it probably has something to do with their stupid TV deal too, where
26-3. 26-3 this season.
Yeah.
The SEC against the ACC, because
wow.
there's other
Even
matchups
worse.
that have
Even
happened.
Worse. Who's the third one, by the way? Because we know Clemson beat the overrated Kentucky Wildcats, and then last night the Duke Blue Devils finally ended the great streak by Auburn, who came in playing as good a basketball as anybody in America.
Last night. They started
it was 13-2. It looked like it was going to be a massacre.
Yeah, Duke wins at 84-78 last night. And
Cooper Flagg's pretty good.
Defense failed Auburn. There were several times in that first half where Auburn just let wide open shooters shoot the basketball. I mean, they were struggling defensively last night. Jonai Broom, Tahad Pettiford.
I love Pettiford,
20
though.
points.
You're talking about a dude that, he wears that 0 a lot better than Nutwack, who's at George Mason now.
Isaiah Evans, who did not log a minute against Kentucky, Kansas, and Arizona. Did not log a minute.
Went crazy in the first half.
6 of 8 3-pointers.
He kept Duke in the game.
Half.
Basically, he's the reason they were ahead.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything in the second half, but he spaced the floor. And if you're going to beat a team as good as Auburn, and Auburn is a very, very good, excellent basketball team, then that's the way it's going to happen. You have to have somebody step it up, because Auburn came out on fire, and then Duke countered. And in the second half, Cooper Flagg was amazing. Now, they did a good job on Kyle Knippel. He had a big basket late to help kind of ice it, but he really didn't do a whole lot offensively. But, yeah, to go from KD Johnson to Tahad Pettiford, that's a big upgrade. I mean, you go from
Yeah.
somebody that's got attention deficit disorder to a stone cold blooded killer.
Yeah.
That's what you go there.
Miles Kelly had a decent night.
Miles
for
Kelly
Auburn.
can play too.
He can shoot.
Another upgrade.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because Auburn got rid of 2 guards and brought in 2 better players. So
Here's Nate Oates after the North Carolina win last night.
A lot of toughness, resilience. We came off a tough loss against Oregon and easily could have let that loss turn into 2, but thought they got their minds right, ready to play. I thought they executed the defensive game plan outside of transition buckets, which that's what they do best. And we didn't do a great job, particularly in the first half with it. Outside of that, in the half court, I mean, they struggled. And I thought our guys did a really good job executing the game plan. I was super happy for these 2 guys. I mean, Houston, unselfish enough to come off as a red shirt and come in. We were plus 12 in his 9 minutes, hit 2 threes, made some huge defensive plays, some rebounds, had a tip that kept an offensive rebound alive. And I think we got a dunk on that play. So he was great. Jaren kind of settled in and made some big threes for us. I thought he did a great job on RJ Davis, who's not easy to guard. I mean, RJ is one of the best guards in the country. And, Jaren, for being a kid that's supposed to be a freshman in college this year, he came on a year early and just 19 years old. I thought he did an unbelievable job on RJ.
That's Nate Oates. And he made reference to Houston Millett, who made a season debut because no Latrell Wrightsell, 6 points, 2 of 2 shooting from deep, 3 boards in 6 minutes of action.
No, he had 9 minutes, and he did a good job on defense when he was in there at 6'5", and then you just talked about it, Scott. He made 2 big threes, and you were the PA guy, and I was there on press row when he played in the preseason against what turned out to be a pretty good Memphis team, by the way.
But there was no Latrell Wrightsell in those games either. Those first
Nelson,
2 preseason games.
The DeArmond Reed, they were holding guys out. But you could see Millett because I think he had 11 3 threes. You could see he's a knockdown shooter.
Yeah.
And so if you can use him, and he's a really good replacement for Latrell Wrightsell because he brings some of the same intangibles, except he's even a little taller, but he's an outstanding shooter. I mean, he's just an absolute knockdown. And in his first game, he did a great job. And what it turns out, Nate Oates talked about it after the game, is Latrell Wrightsell is eligible, for a medical red shirt. They're going to try to medically red shirt him this year and bring him back if he wants to come back. But I'm sure he would in this NIL world because he's a smaller guard, so he's not going to demand a lot of interest from the NBA. Plus, he's coming off of a very serious injury, as you know, in basketball. In some ways, an Achilles is worse than an ACL. Okay,
yeah, can be.
And we've kind of learned that even from our own experiences here at our radio station. Okay, so again, that's just an Achilles is a very difficult injury. Achilles, it's not easy to come back from. But he's had the surgery; it went very, very well, and now Alabama's very fortunate the way they recruited that they've got a Houston Millett who they can plug into the rotation. And don't forget, in about 10 days or so, they're going to play the Creighton Blue Jays in Coleman Coliseum. Chris Youngblood, who warmed up last night, should be back for his first game and be under a minute's restriction, but be back in the rotation. That's another guy that can shoot and defend, very physical guy, an older guy, the AAC co-player of the year when USF, the South Florida, won the regular season in the AAC last year. And they're playing Creighton. And who did Creighton beat last night, Scott?
I did not get to see that. Oh, Creighton beat Kansas?
They beat the number 1 ranked Kansas Jayhawks in Omaha last night. So
Kansas was in trouble. I saw that. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So 76-63. So Alabama's schedule gets no easier as they face the Creighton Blue Jays, who are an outstanding system program.
Doug McDermott.
They can shoot it. They played really well last night, and I think that it was their first number 1 ranked home win as they knocked off Kansas. So last night, 3 of the top 5 lose, and so it was quite a night of college basketball. It's wide open right now, and
it's college basketball though. I love it. I mean, because if you lose a game, it doesn't. I mean, you rebound, you play, you rebound, you move on.
Well, I mean,
you play another one, but I mean, there's a lot of great college basketball.
If you watched that game last night, and I watched them both because texting with another well-known coach in our area, and we were talking about how it was a great night for college basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is going to be some high level stuff, and you wanted to watch both games. And that was a great performance by Alabama against a pretty good UNC team, not a vintage UNC team, but certainly it was a high level game between Duke and Auburn. That felt like a Sweet 16, Elite 8 level type game. And, Auburn played very, very well and gave themselves a chance to win. As you said, they struggled a little bit defensively, but Duke's got a lot of young talent, and Cooper Flagg is going to be the number one pick in the draft, and he was tremendous last night.
Here's Bruce Pearl after the loss to Duke last night.
Our defense let us down. If you're going to come in here and you score 78 points against Duke and you only turn the ball over 8 times in here, you should come out with a win. But Duke was brilliant offensively, executed really well, took advantage of matchups, got our guard switched off on Cooper. And, obviously Cooper Flagg, I think, was one of his better games tonight. Didn't have a turnover, so we didn't bother him enough. And he lifted the foul line. He gets a great whistle. He's a great player. And we got good players too.
All right, we'll take 3 more.
I don't think there's any question about that.
I
mean, our dude Chaney Johnson had 5 off the bench, and I thought he did a pretty good job defensively when he was in the game as well. But Denver Jones couldn't really get it going last night. He did not score for Auburn. Down the stretch, he didn't get as many minutes because of Pettiford, but then Pettiford got in foul trouble, had 4 fouls, and he was on the Denver was on the floor late. But I will say this, he's an instigator, but Chad Baker Mazzara, he's the real deal. He's an absolute knockdown shooter. And again, the way he's wired, how Cameron, they try to rattle you. They try to get in, they're right on top of the floor. They try to get you off your game. He's just going to eat that stuff up. And he played well. Now, Jonah got off to a slow start. He was only 2 for his first 9, but he ended up still with another double-double with 20 and 12. He didn't get his threes rolling last night, but I mean, he had 3 assists. He's just one of the best bigs in the country. It was really high level watching him and kind of Cooper Flagg go
6
one-on-one.
consecutive double-double.
He's Jonah Broome so far probably been the best player in the SEC. So kudos to Auburn for going to Cameron and playing really well. And, they may drop a spot or 2 in the rankings, but I think everybody understands that they're a very, very good, excellent basketball team.
All right, let's get our first break in of the morning. When we come back, we'll wrap up National Signing Day. We'll check in with Kalen DeBoer. We'll check in
Man,
with
did you see that crazy stuff last night from Mississippi State? I mean, it was about midnight. I mean, my guy's Brian Haydad. Remember, we talked to Brian Haydad in Dallas. He and Robbie Fall. They had to re-record a podcast because of this lunacy. I mean, they had already recorded it and then basically had to trash it and redo it before midnight because of all this this craziness. I mean, I followed recruiting a long time, but that was a crazy story.
We'll fill you in on everything when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got to work in Limestone County, Shaw Road and Nuclear Plant Road. That one may have had an injury involved. Got one in Ardmore, 251 near 6th Street, had a utility pole damaged in that one, and they should be about ready to wrap up on that wreck county line at Old Highway 20. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. Ask them for their military, law enforcement, and senior discounts at D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? It might be in a call center somewhere, maybe 100 miles away, but my phone rings in my office.
The Lackey Law Firm.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're here. We're the ones who take your call.
And get what you deserve.
You want to talk to your lawyer. You don't want to reach a call center. With the Lackey Law Firm, that never happens.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And this is the most important part. We'll treat you like family because that's exactly what we are.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And I'll go you one better. If you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
At Wheelchairs for Warriors, serving America's heroes is our mission. With your support, we serve veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty across the United States of America, providing them custom fit, complex rehab mobility solutions to ensure they rejoin their lives at the highest level of independent mobility and function possible. Join the mission at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Want to save some money?
I can take money and I can make it into more money.
Just check out our zone deals online at 977ESPN.com. We are 977 ESPN The Zone.
I will further my radio endeavors at said station, but then I won't be at that station because I'm going to go to another station. After I say I'm going to one station. If you follow
you're not going to sign the e-papers.
If you follow me there, before we get into Alabama and Auburn recruiting from yesterday, National Signing Day, wrap it all up with a big shiny bow. There is a bizarre story out of Mississippi.
It really is bizarre.
And it all centers around 4-star linebacker Tyler Lockett from Winona, Mississippi. He has a signing day ceremony, and he's got family members, about 20 of them sitting on the stage. He goes through the whole pomp and circumstance, nothing flashy, has a jacket on, shirt underneath it, stands up and says, "I will be attending Ole Miss." Crowd goes crazy. They applaud. The family members applaud, except for
the two most important ones.
Mom kind of applauds and kind of sits there. Dad, I assume, or someone sitting next to him, scowls. I mean, he looks
scowl. That's a new one. That's not even mine.
He looks not happy.
This is like Cyrus Quanjo all over again when his brother's in Alabama and then he commits to Auburn.
That's just the beginning of the story.
Oh.
Eventually, after several hours, and I mean several hours, he ends up at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Because Mom won't sign the papers.
She won't sign the e-papers.
She will
Ole
not
Miss
sign,
coach is blowing her up.
Yeah.
Like, sign them. Ole Miss is already – I mean, this is we're bringing back all kind of stories. There's no doubt about it in recruiting because we've followed this for so long, especially myself. I mean, I've been a nut since the late 80s, no question about it. But every now and then you see a crazy, like we were bringing up Cyrus Kwanjo. He actually, came out, shocked everybody. His brother Ari Kwanjo was already at Alabama, and he's a 5-star offensive tackle, and he commits to Auburn. And everybody's just sort of stunned. The Auburn folks are going crazy, thinking. But then, and back in those days, there were still an NLI, a letter of intent.
Right.
It doesn't get faxed in though. He announces, "Okay, I'm committing, to Auburn University," but they don't ever send it in, and then his parents don't sign it. And that, again, they have to sign off on this when this happens. And then just like in what you're talking about with Lockhart, several hours go by and you're thinking, okay, there's no papers. Are they going to send it in? And then all of a sudden the story starts leaking out with Cyrus, like the father's like really irritated, like what went on here? We got to go back and discuss this as a family. And then, a day or two later, it's official that he's going to sign with the University of Alabama, and they fax the paperwork in. So there's been situations like this where crazy stuff has happened. Like Rashawn Evans, remember his dad, Alan Evans, had played at Auburn briefly, transferred to a junior college, and then ended up at Chattanooga. And he kind of shocked a lot of people. Remember, Auburn released, just like we're talking about here, where Ole Miss releases, we've signed him, it's great. And then
everyone's all happy.
Auburn released that they had signed Rashawn Evans even ahead of time. They thought they had him already, and then he commits to Alabama. And I'll never forget watching Damian Craig on the camera, because they had a camera in the coach's room. And when he says, "I'm going to go to the University of Alabama," I've got a friend. I was in a car trying to type a story, Scott. I mean, we're trying to get some Wi-Fi here. I'm sitting here on a laptop trying to get something to send, if he actually commits to Alabama. We had to pull off the road to make sure we didn't lose service. I'm sitting here sending the article immediately. My friend gets so fired up, he jumps out of the car, runs down the parking lot where we parked. I think it was at a church or something, had his I guess the remote control to his garage door remote in his hand. He spikes it like a volleyball and breaks it into a million pieces. And then we drive on to Tuscaloosa for the signing day celebration. And I think we were in Bessemer or Birmingham at the time. And it was crazy because a lot of people thought Evans would, go to Auburn. They thought that, he had ties there, but he ends up going to Alabama, having a good career. So it's just crazy.
All right. So he ends up going to Mississippi State.
And then he posts "my bad" on his ex.
My bad.
I mean, and let's all feel this. Let's also let people understand though. And you look this up. His brother is on the team at Mississippi State.
Yes, he does have ties to Mississippi State.
Yes.
His brother now Lockhart himself is the number 3 prospect in Mississippi State's signing class, ranked number 28 in the nation.
One of the top 5 or 6 in Mississippi.
He had been committed to Mississippi State for months. This is not something that Ole Miss had him, and then he flips to State. No, State had him. It was a shock that Ole Miss was even mentioned. His older brother TJ is an offensive lineman already at Mississippi State. So anyway, that leads us into Alabama and Auburn recap. Nothing like that happened yesterday for the Tide or the Tigers. Nothing like that bizarre situation happened in Tuscaloosa or Auburn. If you are keeping track, Alabama does add 21 players on the first day of the signing period from 9 states, by the way, 7 from California, 3 from Georgia, 2 from Alabama, 2 from Florida, 2 from Mississippi, 1 from Nevada, 1 from New Jersey, 1 from Ohio, 1 from Texas, and 1 from Canada.
Yeah. Steve Buamua, who of course went to Southwest Mississippi JUCO, and he's re-signed with Alabama. But it was a good day for the Tide. I mean, the only negative you could really talk about, and again, recruiting is fluid and strange, especially in this NIL era. if Alabama wanted to, could they all of a sudden up the package and maybe get Ty Haywood back in the fold and sign him this week from Denton, Texas, the offensive tackle? Yes, but sounds very, very unlikely since he didn't sign yesterday. Scotty's talking about waiting until February because there's still the February. It's really anticlimactic.
Right.
But he's talking about taking visits in January. The young man, Michigan, many people believe is the favorite, and I'll just say that the young man's already admitted that he's never even been to the state of Michigan, never visited the University of Michigan, doesn't know anything about Michigan except for what their logo looks like. And yet he's very likely to end up there. So, it's completely transactional. It's about NIL. He and his mother hired an NIL agent. They're represented, and most kids now are represented by by agents, but that's what they've done. And he may go on 2 or 3 visits, but I don't think he'll be back to Tuscaloosa because Alabama was comfortable with the NIL offer that they sent him. And I think they're not going to up the ante, but Michigan's been very, very aggressive in the last 2 to 3 weeks because they knew they needed to be, starting with Bryce Underwood. And so they ended up signing a top 10 class nationally, did Michigan. And so they certainly – and Alabama right now, pretty much consensus they're in the top 3 now. But a lot of people still have Haywood on their commitment list, even though he didn't sign. So certainly if you lose a 5-star guy like him, they may slip down a spot or 2. We'll see. And Auburn, same thing. Auburn still had a really good day yesterday as well. But remember we talked to Jason Caldwell. He was going to Opelika High School for Malik Autry signing. Malik Autry, as expected, signed with Auburn. But they did not get some guys that they thought they were going to, like Zion Grady. They didn't flip him from Ohio State, from Enterprise. He ended up the former Alabama commit. He signed with the Ohio State Buckeyes, so they didn't get him. Chroma, the running back, ended up at Florida State. It did not. A lot of people thought he was committed to Georgia. He might flip to Auburn. He flipped to Florida State. So that they lost that running back target. And then the craziest story, the second craziest, is Naheem Offord, the best prospect in the state of Alabama from Parker High School. Everybody's thinking, it'd been out there for a month that Auburn was making a huge push, and that if he flipped from Ohio State, because he'd been committed to Ohio State for several months, like Lockhart to Mississippi State, everybody thought he was going to flip to Auburn. But then yesterday you started hearing, well, there's 3 schools. It's Auburn, Ohio State, and Oregon. They started mentioning Oregon. He had a live feed for a signing ceremony over at Parker. He walked out. There was a lot of people on the feed, administrators, friends of the family members, talking about Naheem, the athlete he is. Parker's going to play Saraland this week for a state championship. And then they were talking about that. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, he comes back and he signs with Oregon. So, and Oregon was, not even really mentioned until yesterday. So he ends up an Oregon Duck. But then Auburn counters, and it was a piece of the good news that they got yesterday. We talked about Donovan Starr, arguably the top prospect in the state of Tennessee from Ravenwood High School. The top 3 was Vanderbilt, Alabama, Auburn. Alabama was thought to maybe be the favorite on Sunday after he visited Alabama kind of unexpectedly for the Iron Bowl. Matter of fact, I heard he committed to Alabama's coaches, but then Clark Lee calls Monday. People were talking about it could be Vandy. And then Hugh Freeze calls on Tuesday. And then the thought was, we even talked about it with Jason, that if Auburn, and I still believe this, if Auburn gets Naheem Offord, then it's either going to be Vandy or Alabama. I still think it might have been Alabama, even though Vandy was lurking.
Right.
Then the thought yesterday was it still may be Vandy. No. Once Offord went to Oregon, Auburn circled back, got Donovan Starr, so at least they were able to salvage that. And Auburn still ends up with a top 8 class in the country, and Hugh Freeze, and they held on to Deuce Knight as well, the quarterback from Mississippi. So I think right there that means Auburn will definitely be in the portal trying to find a starting quarterback, but certainly they have a guy they can develop in Deuce Knight.
According to 24/7 Sports, Texas, your number 1 class, followed by Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State, Auburn, your top 6. According to On3, it's Texas, Alabama, Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan in there at 6. Auburn checks in at number 7. All right, let's get a break in. Caleb Jones will be with us coming on the flip side. We'll talk Auburn football recruiting. After that, we will get to your phone calls.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly to partly sunny sky this afternoon, but we're going to spend a good chunk of the day somewhere in the upper 30s and lower 40s. Definitely going to be on the colder end of the spectrum. We drop into the lower 20s as we head into the overnight, early Friday morning. A mostly sunny to partly sunny sky Friday afternoon. Temperatures only climb into the low and mid 40s, dropping into the upper 20s, lower 30s as we head into the overnight. A partly sunny sky for your Saturday, but we are going to be a little bit warmer across the Tennessee Valley. Temperatures climbing into the upper 40s and lower 50s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Looks like we may have a wreck on 565 eastbound just before Glen Hearn. It appears it's off to the right side of the road. We have 2 lanes rolling eastbound with no problem. Had a wreck on Shaw Road near Nuclear Plant Road in Limestone County. Still may be working with that one. And had a utility pole broken, 251 and 6th Street in Ardmore. I expect that one's going to take a good part of the morning. Officers, construction workers, and first responders are putting their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You can make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Stan McDonald. Stan, tell everybody why you're the best damn dirt lawyer in North Alabama.
Yes, Wes, at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. You know I'm a dirt lawyer, and a lot of our friends know that, which means we specialize in real estate. Now, if you own real estate or you're buying it or you're selling it, you need to do a closing, but a lot of times there's legal issues associated with that. We're a great group to talk to. My son, Lewis McDonald, heads our commercial closing division, and we approach your real estate needs very seriously. We seek to be the premier real estate closing company in North Alabama, and we do it in such a way it shows that we're experienced, we're for your success. We like to handle your real estate needs the same way Coach Dan Reeves used to say, never let them see you sweat. And that's going to be to your benefit, too, when you visit us at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. Our website online is jacobtitle.com.
Online at 977ESPN.com.
Stream them online.
Call in.
It's an important job, and it's an vital organization.
Tweet in and join in. We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back into the program on a Thursday morning, and kind of recapping National Signing Day for Alabama, for Auburn. Auburn does land its second straight top 10 class.
They stacking.
Signed 25 high school players yesterday, and in-state haul did Auburn. Really hit the state of Alabama hard, did Hugh Freeze and company. And I mean, look, there was a lot of needs for this Auburn program, still trying to fill some holes that were left there by former staffs, et cetera, et cetera. And they had the 25 guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. And we're going to talk to our next guest. He's been with us on multiple occasions. He does a great job for auburnsports.com, working with our good friend Brian Matthews, the king of Uncle Keith's Red Sauce. Again, we're going to just kind of wrap it up because we talked and previewed it with Jason Caldwell at 24/7 Sports yesterday, but as we talked to Jason and he was on his way to Malik Autry's signing ceremony, we knew there'd be some moving parts. And we're going to talk to a young man who covers football recruiting full time for Auburn. And that is Caleb Jones, and he's part of, as we said, Rivals.com and Auburn Sports. And we're going to wrap up this Auburn recruiting class. Overall, it was a really good day. Not as spectacular a day as it could have been because they could have been in the top 3, but still solidly in the top 10. A great recruiting class once again, back-to-back which is how Auburn's going to get back to the elite in the SEC. But we're going to talk to Caleb Jones about that right now. Caleb, good morning. You're with Drew and Scott.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Hey, man, well, let's leave the negative out of the way. How out of left field was the Naheem Offord thing? Because I was watching you guys. I try to monitor everybody. It seemed like that Auburn was very confident in the last 3 or 4 weeks that Naheem Offord was going to flip to the Tigers.
This was this is something that I'd been kind of telling our site for weeks, is that it's going to be a close battle, and it was going to come down to the wire, and that's exactly what happened. I think there was some confidence, definitely, for sure, that Auburn may be the school to beat down the stretch, and then I think around Monday or Tuesday is when I kind of started, kind of saying I don't know anymore. I think Oregon might be the school, or I think this one may not go Auburn's way, and it's just there's a lot of moving parts. It's like you said earlier, and this is one that truly came down to the night before, the morning of, and at the end of the day, it was Oregon.
Yeah, it was. Wow. But I will say this: they did, and I should have included this young man too. But I knew I was been told that one flip candidate to watch from Tennessee was DeArmond Smith, and at St. Francis in Baltimore right now, Auburn's got a nice pipeline. They did get that flip done, and then the cool thing is when they lost Naheem Offord, they turn around and they're still able to get Donovan Starr, the best player arguably in Tennessee, as part of their DB class. So nice fallback option, though, to still be able to circle back and get him when it looked like he could end up at Alabama or Vanderbilt.
Yeah, when you look at kind of what happened, what went down yesterday with the cornerback, you're not feeling. I don't think you're feeling great if you're an Auburn fan. You still signed some really good DBs, but not as good a class as what it could have been, because you did miss out on Naheem Offord. You did lose Shamar Arnaud to Florida State, but I mean, keeping Donovan Starr, that was really important for this class. If you had lost Donovan Starr, I think that would have really hurt your DB haul that you had kind of had all year.
Mm-hmm. So let's look at the rest of the Auburn class. And when we talked about it in the intro, Hugh Freeze made no bones about it, and he reiterated it yesterday, that you got to be successful. If Auburn's going to be successful, they've got to be successful in recruiting the state of Alabama.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's been his focal point, I think, since he arrived on campus, since he took over the program. It's just, I got to get these in-state guys. Mm-hmm. And you saw that 100%. He signed a good bit of them. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but there's 11 plus at least of in-state guys, and you really see it from. He went down south into the Mobile area. He went down to Birmingham. I mean, he's going after the in-state guys, which is something that I think if you're gonna win at Auburn, I think it's something you got to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he ended up with 11. So, and I think they had 25 total signees. Yeah. So nearly half of them, Caleb, coming from the state of Alabama, and they held on to guys like Antoine Fagans. Alabama made a late push for him. Fagans going to Auburn and then winning a state championship. They had 3 guys, Jared Smith as well. Jared Smith was a huge retention too, because I know the word was South Carolina and Ole Miss, especially the Gamecocks, made a big push for him.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge hold on to for Auburn. Just getting Jared to stay in the class. I don't think it was as much of a 50-50 as per se as maybe it would have been. I think there was a solid chance that Auburn was going to be able to hold on to Jared Smith, and they sure did. And it's like you said, they're getting into the Thompson pipeline. I mean, they signed 3 guys out of Thompson. They signed one last year. That's been a program that Auburn hasn't had much luck in historically.
Mm-hmm.
I know there were some Auburn fans maybe kind of sweating a little bit with Deuce Knight, because Ole Miss had made a strong push. He was there at the Egg Bowl on Friday. But when that all got signed and done, Auburn got a quarterback of the future.
Oh yeah, I think anytime you have a big time quarterback, a big time recruit, especially on signing day, there's always going to be a little bit of sweat. But Deuce Knight shows up to his signing ceremony with wearing the turtleneck and then the Auburn jacket, and I think once everybody saw that on his Instagram live, I think everybody took a deep breath and a sigh of relief that okay, this does not look like a kid who's flipping. And they got the paperwork and all that good stuff, and Deuce Knight is officially an Auburn Tiger. This is really exciting, I think, for Auburn. This has been the guy that Hugh Freeze has kind of eyed for a while. Kind of told us he told us yesterday that Deuce was the first quarterback that he really looked at in the 25 class, and that was kind of his guy that he wanted. That he kind of dropped the ball a little bit when Deuce transferred to Lipscomb Academy up in Nashville, and he said when Deuce transferred back into Mississippi, back to George County High School, he said, "Man, I gotta shoot my shot." That's exactly what he did. So he said, him, his whole staff, they just kept working, and not just them, but Ole Miss as well. They started going after him too, and this is a big win for Auburn.
No, there's no question about that. And then, they're able to flip a linebacker like Elijah Melendez from Miami, who, he certainly looks the part. He looks like a freakazoid athletically. And I know they're losing Eugene Asante. They're losing some guys in that linebacker core, so they need to bring in some impact guys. They've got young players, that are going to be like DeMarcus Riddick, who are going to be really good in the future. But I know that from a defensive standpoint, getting the Malik Aldridge, and I thought their defensive line class was good, Caleb.
I love the direction that the program is heading in defensively. You mentioned it. The defensive line class is great. Elijah Melendez, Hugh Freeze said he looks like a senior. He's going to be a guy that can step in and get some early playing time right away. And you saw it this past season where you had a lot of young guys. You had a lot of freshmen playing on the defense. Next season, you're going to see just as many freshmen playing. You're going to see freshmen and sophomores just kind of taking up those defensive positions. And this is a defense that it's on its way to being back to what an Auburn defense has kind of been known for in the past, where you just have strong defensive line and really good defensive back.
So now signing day is over. They get 25 guys. Now the question is, what's the need? Obviously, the quarterback spot is probably one of the biggest needs, though. Going forward in the transfer portal, where will Auburn be very active at besides that quarterback spot?
Yeah, well, Hugh Freeze mentioned yesterday in his press conference they've got 3 scholarship quarterbacks. He's always going to have 4. So, I think that's getting a quarterback is something we all knew that was going to happen. They're going to go after a transfer quarterback at some point, and you're going to go after a tight end for sure. There's still a spot there. And then I think I think your biggest need right now, other than the quarterback, is going to be buffing up that offensive line with some guys that have played at a high level before. You tried to buff it up last year, and it didn't really work out for you in the way that maybe you imagined it. So I definitely can see it. They're gonna definitely go after some tackles, and I think what's going to be important this cycle is going to be getting guys on campus early. I think Auburn tried to get the late visit for some guys, last cycle, where I think they felt like if they could get the last visit, they could really close it out with some guys. But I think getting the first visit is going to be important this year, because the plan last year didn't really work out. You saw a lot of guys take those first visits and then sign with those other programs. So I think Auburn's going to try and get some guys on campus early and try and get these things wrapped up quick.
And Caleb, we know what Jarquez Hunter meant to the program. I know they weren't able to get Chrome, the running back, flipped from Georgia yesterday. I know he ended up flipping to Florida State. But do you think they might address running back in the portal? Because I know they've got Kamari Alston back. They've got Jeremiah Cobb, who I personally think Cobb has looked good in limited opportunities. But is running back maybe a spot they might decide to address?
Yeah, I could definitely see them, maybe bringing in a running back if the right one is out there. I could definitely see them going after them. But I mean, you will have a really talented running back room next year. Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb, and then the freshman Alvin Henderson. He's electric. So it'll be exciting to watch. So it's not your biggest need, but I think if the right one's in there and the stars align, I think you could perhaps see one. We'll just kind of have to monitor it.
Yeah, no question about it. And then finally, in your mind, we've been talking about this class, but who is the most maybe underrated player that people aren't talking about that you think could contribute rather quickly at Auburn?
I gotta say Jordan Crawford. We have him as a 3-star on Rivals, and I think this kid is gonna play pretty early as a nose tackle, and like he is big and strong, man. He can really stop the run. He is. I think he's a diamond in the rough. I think Auburn did a great job of tapping into the Birmingham area right there and getting Jordan Crawford. I think you're going to know that name next fall.
Well, we certainly know they signed some big names yesterday. It was a really good day overall still for Auburn, and especially in this crazy world. And then they got a little bit of a preview last night at the Super 7 over at Protective Stadium. Thompson coming back from that 7-0 deficit in the rematch, against certainly the defending state champions from Central Phoenix City. Get the job done 21-7. So another state title for Mark Freeman, and 3 signees from that team are going to be Auburn Tigers in short order. But and then, of course, Auburn Saraland going to be there. Antonio Coleman, he's another signee in the class. He'll be playing against Nahima and Jordan Crawford and Parker. So that should be a heck of a 6A matchup.
Oh yeah, it's going to be exciting football. That's always fun, I think, for the kids to go up against just their other signees, their friends, the guys that they talk to, the guys that they're going to be teammates this next year. So it'll be fun for sure.
Well, it never stops for you. I know you're already going to be in tracking the 26 cycle, but let everybody know how to follow your recruiting coverage over at auburnsports.com.
Oh yeah, we're getting ready to take a look at 26s and portals. So it's going to be a busy season. Portal season's always crazy. If you're trying to keep up with the crazy, you can follow me on Twitter at CalebJ_Rivals. You can also follow our coverage on auburnsports.com, with the bunker. It's a really great message board. I'm pretty surprised the site didn't crash yesterday because so much action, so much being said about Auburn. If you love Auburn, you got to check out auburnsports.com. It is a place to be. We've got a podcast every week called The Rundown. We wrap up pretty much everything you need to know about Auburn athletics that week within an hour. So come check us out over there, and you won't regret it, I promise.
Thank you, sir.
Good stuff.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Can you imagine trying to track the transfer portal, not just for Auburn, but just
man, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Nutshell, trying to track the transfer portal.
It led to me working here, but I covered Alabama recruit, and I've covered it for years. But I'm just talking about like a full-time job back in 2014, and Saban had it rolling. But you're talking about exhausting, and I can't even imagine it now with the transfer portal.
Just doing the transfer portal alone, trying to figure out
who's going in,
one day.
Who are they signing, who's visiting. It's just nuts. It's crazy. And then the funny thing is, I think the 9th is when it opens, Scott, and they're talking about that Monday where people are just going to hit it running. Like they're already announcing like visits being set up by prospects. And we'll see how quickly kids start committing. Florida State's going to be ultra aggressive. Now, I will say this.
They have to be.
Considering what kind of season they had, and we all know it was in the toilet at 2-10, and that they've made 2 high-profile coordinator changes, and they've been hiring new assistant coaches. To finish in the Rivals top 25 was pretty amazing. And then now they're going to be ultra aggressive in the portal because that's really been how, Norvell's had success at Florida State.
All right, let's get that final break into the hour one. When we come back, we'll wrap it all up for hour two.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a new wreck southbound county line. They're reporting it at Highway 20. I'm not sure if they mean Old Highway 20 or Madison Boulevard. It is reporting as an injury type. Got one 565 eastbound near Glen Hearn. They pulled it off to the right side of the road. Still may be working on that broken utility pole in Ardmore, 251 near 6th Street. Shoal Scholar Dollars Legends in Concert Series is bringing Grammy Award winner Pam Tillis to UNA on January 26th. Tickets are available at shoalscholardollars.com. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
The 2024 SEC Football Championship game. Back to throw over the middle into the end zone. Gone! Touchdown! Ball loose on the turf. Longhorns have it. Ball game. Join us Saturday in Atlanta as the Texas Longhorns and the Georgia Bulldogs fight for the SEC Championship.
And we are moments away. And as you might imagine, the energy level is super high.
Kickoff is at 3 on your home for SEC football, the SEC Radio Network.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
Everybody, have you heard? If you're in the game, then the stroke's the word.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Wrapping up hour one of the show, 256-576-4977. They need to get rid of them. I'm sorry. I am squirrel momenting.
Are you talking about Colin Cowherd?
No, it says, what do the Bears need to do to help Caleb Williams? And I'm like, I don't know. Move him. Anyway,
even though I think Cowherd finally had some common sense,
he did, and we'll hear all that. We'll hear all of that. Let's get to Pat from Tuscaloosa real fast. Let's get him in here.
I know he doesn't like Colin. What's up, Pat?
Yeah, the cow turd.
There you go. And I didn't say it.
You didn't say it. We'll just get everybody else.
Let Pat say it. Yeah. Because I'm just here so I don't get fined.
We'll get him. That's what we'll do. We'll have other people say what we want to say that we can't say.
Yeah. Dumb button. Just not me.
Makes for great radio.
Yeah.
Dolly said, if they're not talking about you, you're not relevant.
Right. What's up, Pat?
Hey, man, I want to know why my quarterback is not ranked number one in the country. My recruiting quarterback from Duncanville, Texas.
Well,
the reason being, let me finish my point right, and then I want you to get your answer. Max Preps has him nearly 10 points higher on quarterback rating. That he has 1,000 more yards than that quarterback that left.
Bryce Underwood. Yeah.
Hey, he has 3 less interceptions. He only has 2 interceptions.
Yeah, I heard he finally threw a couple picks.
Passing. Why is he not ranked number one?
Well, I think
he won the MVP at the Elite 11.
Yeah, and now I will say I don't get as excited for the Elite 11 MVP stuff anymore because I fell for the Blake Barnett deal and that was awful. But Certainly, and Tua Tagovailoa certainly lived up to it. But I know they think Keelan Russell's special. I was hearing from someone that spoke with Kalen DeBoer, this summer, and this was right before they flipped him from SMU, and they thought that he was as good a quarterback prospect as they'd ever evaluated. So I think he's special. From what I understand, I think he's a consensus top 5 overall national prospect now, if not top 3. He's up there with Underwood. It's apples to oranges. I mean, Underwood's obviously a special talent, but I mean, I'll take Keelan Russell. He's a winner. He's trying to win 3 straight state titles. And as you know, Pat, Duncanville, that's in a very, very difficult area as far as region in Texas. Texas is a huge state, but the competition in his classification is so difficult. And to do what he's doing is just, quite frankly, amazing. And so I think he's an outstanding prospect. He's certainly the centerpiece of this class. And they had to fend off Colorado and some other schools. And, of course, Colorado got Juju Lewis and flipped him from USC. And, of course, who would want to go to USC at this point? But still, I mean, I think he's an outstanding player, great size, mobility, accuracy. I think he's the whole package. And, I think the quarterback job, once Jalen Milroe moves on after this season, and I believe he will, very likely to the NFL, I think, it's going to be a wide open competition. Certainly I like Ty Simpson. I think he brings some good things to the table. Dylan Lonergan, I know you like Lonergan a lot. He's got a lot of great intangible qualities. Austin Mack, he showed some flashes. He's only 18 years old. And then you add Keelan Russell. So I don't think Alabama will – I think they like their quarterback room enough. They're not going to attack the portal like Auburn at the position. I think it's going to be like a 4-way dance. It's going to be really interesting. I may be wrong, but I don't look at any of these quarterbacks right now as moving on for Alabama. Keelan, I believe, is going to be an early enrollee and join that battle, and I just think it's going to be wide open. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, man, it just hurts my feelings that Michigan gets a number 1 quarterback when they don't deserve nothing. And because I can't understand the criteria when Max Preps has him 10 points higher in quarterback rating his junior and senior year,
right?
And less interceptions and 1,000 more yards passing his senior year. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's why those rankings there sometimes they're very subjective.
They're as squirrely as cow herd.
We talk about the college football playoff rankings being subjective. Lots of times those recruiting rankings, Pat, are very subjective. So don't get too upset about it. Both Alabama, Auburn, there's several other schools. They picked up some quality guys. Some guys are 4 stars, could be 5 stars. Some guys are 3 stars, could be 5 stars. Lots of times if they don't attend camps or they don't attend the right one, you don't get a lot of those rankings.
Latsier Brooks, he's a lot better in his rating. Thanks, Pat.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This action update is brought to you by GBank. Earn cashback rewards on every eligible gaming transaction. VSiN.com/GBank.
College Football Championship Week, Friday night in the Mountain West. Boise State favored by 4 against UNLV. Boise State 10th in the nation, UNLV 20th. Tulane's a 5-point favorite against number 24 Army in the AAC. Big 12, Arizona State by 2 against Iowa State. The Sun Devils number 15, the Cyclones number 16. Number 5, Georgia is a 2.5-point underdog against number 2 Texas in the SEC Championship game. Big 10, number 1 Oregon by 3.5 against Penn State in the ACC. Number 8, SMU by 2.5 against number 17, Clemson. Oregon, the plus 350 favorite to win the national title. That's the VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I'm Chuck Sanders.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center.
190 degrees.
Yes, I am doing hot Pilates today.
I'm sorry I interrupted you. You got to finish that live read.
I just make it up every day.
Well, hell, that's pretty good.
It's SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. They're really good peoples. And now if you got bruised or banged or beat or whatever, if you're achy, give them a call, 256-881-5151.
Mr. Henderson, I know you're listening. I'd like some water for Christmas. You could drop it by the station.
You want some of that SportsMed
I love
water?
it. I love the SportsMed water.
That'd be Hayden Henderson.
Yes, Mr. Henderson.
Paging, like a doctor. Paging Hayden Henderson.
Hell, you may need some of the water if you're going to 190 degrees.
I'm doing Hot Works Pilates today.
Oh.
Yes, I am. I'm going to sweat
anywhere
it out.
from 145 to 190.
I don't know. It's supposed to like speed up metabolism.
Oof.
Anyway. All right.
Well, no wonder we call you tapeworm, man. You can eat more than anybody, even though I had 2 big meals last night, by the way.
What did you have?
We had Tim's Cajun Kitchen for lunch, and it was good. I mean, the gumbo was good.
Yeah.
Their bread was good. Got to give them a lot of credit there. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Their okra, I love their okra. No doubt about that. Had some gator bites.
Okay.
Pretty good there.
Did you have a remoulade sauce with
Oh, I had the remoulade on everything.
All right,
it's really good. And then of course, when watched the Alabama massacre over at Walk-Ons and had some Bayou pasta that was really good, Scott. I think you would have enjoyed that.
All right. Well, anyway.
And some boudin balls.
We'll skip that.
I know.
We'll skip that
I
one.
figured.
But
that wasn't X-rated, so I ain't getting fined.
There's a lot of X-ratedness that we can. Anyway, let's skip all of that. Let's get back into the college football. By the way, hour 2 though, SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, they are kicking us off for hour number 2.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot going on. We talked about it. We heard. We have not even had a chance to hear from Kalen DeBoer yet about Alabama's recruiting class. We've not had a chance to hear from Hugh Freeze about their recruiting class. But we will dissect into the Alabama class.
Yeah, we've already talked to Caleb Jones of AuburnSports.com about Auburn's. And now it's been a minute since we've had our next guest. He's very busy. He was on all over both his Locked On Bama podcast with Luke Robinson, in addition to all his duties with BamaOnline.com, part of On3 Sports. It's always great to talk to their senior analyst. And I hope he doesn't mind me calling him that now, because he's kind of the czar, also the monitor of their message board, but he has many duties that he wears, and he's kind of picked up the torch from Travis Ryer, and that is Jimmy Stein, and he's been kind enough to join us and put a wrap a little bit on this 2025 recruiting class, the first one for Kalen DeBoer for the University of Alabama. And we're going to talk about that right now. Jimmy, good morning.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Drew and Scott.
Yes, sir, Jimmy. It's great to have you. I know you're a busy guy. But overall, we talked with Caleb Jones about the twists and turns of signing day and in this NIL era. And certainly Auburn had some really good news, had some tough news. But Alabama got some great news, very late in the afternoon, early evening is the final piece of the day. The Ty Haywood situation isn't a great one right now. And again, we'll see how that wraps up. But overall, I thought a very, very good day for Alabama. Your thoughts?
It really was a lot of good work considering, it's not that DeBoer and his staff got here late, but they didn't have a full 12 months.
Right. To build relationships. Right.
The relationships were new. They weren't necessarily now they did bring a lot of West Coast guys with them, guys they were recruiting at Washington. Several of these California guys were guys they were very familiar with at Washington, but especially when you consider that he wasn't here for the full cycle, his name was new to a lot of the South. I think it's pretty remarkable what they did, really. I think at On3 right now, they're second or third, and that's going to be affected a little bit. I think everyone realizes that Ty Haywood's on a commitment list, but is very unlikely to follow through with that commitment and sign with Alabama. He's very likely going somewhere else. When he falls off, that will affect the rankings a little bit. It's not going to make Alabama plummet, but they'll fall a little bit. But adding Derek Meadows, late in the day,
yes,
helped the ranking. I mean, Derek Meadows is a national top, I think, or somewhere around national top 104, I think, in the On3 industry ranking. He's a 6'6" wide receiver that was a high value target for LSU, for Michigan, for Notre Dame. They all wanted that guy. So this is a highly rated, high value guy with a great frame, really nice and measurable, sort of a faster Caleb Odom, really. In terms of he's got Odom's frame. He's probably a little quicker than Caleb. And he's a great duo with Latsier Brooks, who's a smaller kind of a playmaker. I think with Brooks, you got the speedy playmaker. With Derek Meadows, you got sort of the quintessential possession guy.
Mm-hmm. And Jimmy, I'm going to call you a football nerd, and I mean that as a compliment, sir, because I know how much you've watched recruiting over the years, been parts of going to the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game every year, watching kids in person. And I know you watch a lot of film, but I'm glad that was a perfect segue, because Scott and I were talking about this guy going into the break before we brought you on, but he was a guy that didn't go to a lot of combines, didn't go to camps, but Alabama got him committed early, kept him committed. And his film doesn't look like 4-star film to me, but your thoughts after you've watched a lot of Latsier Brooks?
He might be my favorite kid in the whole class. I'm about to actually put together a piece this morning on BOL to pick out today's assignment, picking out my 5 favorite guys in the class. And spoiler alert, Latsier Brooks is going to be on it. I mean, he might be my favorite guy. And I'll say that because I think of the 4 services, 2 don't even rank him in the top 300. I mean, and then On3 has him, in the 70s, by far the highest of the 4 services. I'd personally rank him even higher than that. I mean, Latsier Brooks is the guy that, regardless of where he's ranked or who else has offered him, I mean, I'm just speaking for me, not Alabama, but the very first time I watch his tape, I'm like, I want this guy on my team. I mean, he's fantastic in terms of his separation, separates from defenders, he's a great yak guy. Most speed receivers like him, most of them, Drew, there's a knock on them that they don't have great ball skills. They're just fast. Latsier has fantastic ball skills. He can catch anything. He tracks the ball really well. If he catches it, he holds on to it. He could play other positions. I think he would even be a good defender because there's some physicality there. You can give him the ball on the end arounds and the sweeps. He's going to run through some contact. Again, not the biggest guy in the world. Completely dominates the competition in New Jersey. Now, New Jersey high school football is not Texas. It's not California. It's not Florida. It's not even Alabama. But there have been a lot of good players come from New Jersey. I mean, Minkah Fitzpatrick, to name one. But, there's a lot, and Latsier Brooks owns virtually every New Jersey high school receiving record. How the other services are not as high on him on 3, I can't really explain. I know I watched that guy and thought, this is an elite wide receiver, elite. And Alabama obviously feels the same way. We understand our sources at BOL that Alabama always considered him one of the top 5 or 6 guys in the country. Also notable, not everybody talks about this, Drew. Latsier came to camp under Saban too. He came to came to Saban's camp, and Saban's staff loved him.
Wow.
I mean, it's not just DeBoer's staff. Saban's staff loved Latsier Brooks too.
I remember a couple others they loved that people hadn't heard of it until they came to camp. Amari Cooper and some cat named Jalen Waddle. So
yeah.
One of the other,
I think Waddle's a pretty good comp for Latsier, by the way. Now they're not identical, but
right.
Latsier's similar to Waddle.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other biggest needs for Alabama is along the trenches. They do sign 4 offensive linemen yesterday. Now, Kalen DeBoer said in his press conference that transfer portal wise, they're still below probably where they want to be, but they did sign 4 offensive linemen yesterday.
Yeah, they did. They did, Scott. Mike Carroll is probably the best of the 4 from IMG Academy, certainly the most highly rated. I think 3 of the 4 services have him among the top 14 prospects in the country, regardless of position. Alabama's done extremely well with these offensive linemen from IMG. They've hit on several in a row. They're high value, high ranked guys that showed up at Alabama and lived up to the hype quickly. And were sort of immediate starters and star players like Evan Neal, like J.C. Latham, Tyler Booker. Now, Mike Carroll is just another in the same line. He's really similar to all of those guys in terms of what he brings to the table with his frame, with his movement skills, with his athleticism. Mike Carroll might be a better pure athlete than all of those guys, to be honest. I mean, in terms of just athleticism. Interesting that he's sort of his skill set. He looks like and plays like a guard. He's best at moving people. I mean, he's an earth mover type, yet he's built a little like a tackle. I wouldn't be surprised to see him play both in his time at Alabama. It looks like he's probably going to start out at guard, and he may stick at guard the whole time. There'll be an opening at guard. Tyler Booker, his IMG fellow alum from IMG, Tyler Booker probably moving on to the NFL, and then Mike Carroll will immediately contend for Booker's spot at left guard. But like Tyler Booker, he could play some tackle. Booker played some tackle this year. Booker showed up at Alabama and played tackle in his first spring at Alabama. I think Mike Carroll could sort of do the same thing because it's 6'6" and that length and with his feet. He could get away with that. But I would look for Mike Carroll to be good right off the bat, like his fellow IMG guys previously at Alabama.
I was going to ask you about a couple of guys, one on defense, and then of course offensively. I know they lost Jace Clarizio late back to Michigan State. That was the other piece of news that led off the morning. But they still have a loaded running back room, and then they got their top guy, who really, I think, much like you said, Latsier Brooks was identified early and committed. They were able to, and we all know how tricky recruiting is in the state of Mississippi. But they were able to get A.K. Deer from Quitman, Mississippi. And I know they had him ranked one of the top 1 to 2 backs in the country. They get him. Your thoughts on him? And then a guy on defense that I was listening to a Mississippi State podcast because of that craziness that went on with Lockhart last night. But they were still lamenting the loss of Cavante Henry from the JUCO ranks to Alabama. But talk about your thoughts on those 2 guys.
Yeah, A.K. Deer, a really good running back prospect. That position's been devalued a little bit. It starts in the draft, then sort of filters down to recruiting. There's not as many 5-star running backs as there was, let's say, 15, 18 years ago, Drew, when we were following this. Even then, running back was still sort of a glamour position. Then now just like the draft, the 5-star backs are fewer and far between, but A.K. Deer is as good as basically any running back you'll find in this class nationally. He's going to add some interesting size to that Alabama room. When you stack him up against what Alabama could be returning in the running back room next year, he's a bigger kid naturally. He's just a naturally bigger kid than Jam Miller and Justice Haynes. Mm-hmm. They are not small. They're not small guys at all. But A.K. Deer is showing up bigger than those 2 guys were. But he's also not as big as like Daniel Hill,
Yeah.
The freshman from Meridian, Mississippi, who's on the team this year. Daniel Hill's a huge guy. So AK size-wise, bigger than Jam and Justice, smaller than Daniel Hill, but significantly faster than Daniel Hill
Mm-hmm.
and bigger than Jam and Justice. So he's a great kind of middle ground guy in terms of this is a bigger back, but he's fast. And Alabama doesn't really have the 220-pound or 218-pound fast running back, but that's what he's going to be after he gets in that weight room for about a year. He's going to be in that 215 to 220 range in about a year, and he'll be one of the faster guys in that room. If not, Kevin Riley is probably the real speedster in the group, but he's lucky to be 190 pounds. It's he's just super fast. I just think AK Deer is a nice fit because he's a little unlike the other guys in the room. I wouldn't be surprised if he played early because one thing about AK, he's good in short yardage. He can also house it from a long distance. He can catch the ball. He's one of these running backs you don't really take off the field. That may earn him a role early. And as to Cavante Henry, whenever you sign a JUCO guy, everybody's looking to the portal because, you look to the portal for immediate help, right? Well, the JUCOs are still the same way. I mean, you only sign a junior college guy if you feel like this is a guy that can step in and play for us right now. And they feel that way about Henry. I think one thing that's interesting in terms of what we hear is he's not necessarily pegged as a bandit in Alabama's defense or a wolf. They're going to take a look at him at both spots. So he's quick and athletic enough to play the pass rushing wolf spot, but thick and strong enough to potentially play the run stuffing bandit spot. So this is a versatile guy with unique size and athletic ability. I know he's a flip from Mississippi State, but there have been points in his recruitment since high school where he could have gone to Oklahoma or Michigan. So this has always been kind of a high value kid. And the DeBoer staff was really familiar with him from his time through high school. And they had a good relationship with that junior college in Los Angeles that Cavante had just attended.
And then finally, we had Pat from Tuscaloosa call in, and he's basically in love with Keelan Russell, the quarterback from Duncanville. He's put up obscene stats. The high level of competition he's faced. They're trying to win 3 straight state titles in the highest classification in Texas. He was the centerpiece of this. He really started off this summer when they flipped him from SMU, kind of helping the class come together. No question that I know we saw Ryan Williams get on his Instagram feed when he signed yesterday. He's going to enroll early, compete for this job. Your thoughts on Keelan Russell as a prospect?
Oh, he's just fantastic. I mean, fantastic. I mean, we could do the whole show on Keelan. He if you showed me his passing stat, if I knew nothing but his passing stat, I would be fascinated. If you said, hey, there's a kid in Holly Pond, Alabama that threw 46 touchdown passes and 1 interception, I'm like, we need to see him in camp. And you could be like, oh, well, he's 5'9". No, I want to see him in camp. I mean, you at least got to take a look at anybody that puts up those numbers. When you consider he put up those numbers against big schools in Dallas, the elite programs in Dallas, Texas, and the kid is 6'3", and he can run like a legit 4.6, if not a 4.5. In addition to those ridiculous passing numbers he puts up with an over 70% completion rate. I mean, he just checks every box, guys. I mean, in terms of, does he have adequate size? Yes. Does he have great speed? Yes. Is the production there? Double yes. He's playing against the best competition, frankly, in the country. I mean, when you consider where's the best high school football played in the country, I mean, there's going to be a lot of candidates, but the Dallas metro area would be up there near the top for everyone. And he's doing it against them. And he's been a multi-year starter. He's got a lot of confidence. He's a leader. I mean, this kid checks all the boxes. And, I'm not comparing his skill set, but in terms of his arrival to Alabama, guys, I consider it no different than Tua and Bryce.
Wow.
I mean, in terms of how good can this kid be? And he's sort of showing up that way. I mean, most quarterbacks are developmental guys. Most guys take a while, like Jalen Milroe, for instance. He's been a developmental prospect. He's still working on it. There's still some ceiling for him. Jalen could still improve from where he's at. I think guys like Tua and Bryce, they're so rare. They sort of show up ready.
Mm-hmm.
And Keelan can be a lot like that. So it's really exciting about how good he can be. Hopefully Alabama's QB room will be fine and there's not a lot of pressure to play him early.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the type of kid that could show up and he's so good so fast. He could just earn his way out there.
Well, great stuff. Jimmy Stein, BamaOnline.com, part of On3 Sports. Let everybody know how to follow you, sir. And of course, I know you were previewing a little bit that piece you got coming out later today.
Yeah, BamaOnline.com. You can find my stuff there. It's the best team out there. Andrew Bone, Tim Watt, Joseph Hastings, got Charlie Potter, Blake Byler's our latest addition. He's great on the basketball beat. Blake really knows basketball. And this is a great year to be at BamaOnline.com. If you're a basketball fan, we have that covered as well as anyone. And we had great coverage yesterday for signing day. You can also hear me on the Locked On Bama podcast daily with Luke Robinson.
Yeah, absolutely. They were talking about your hair last night, Jimmy. You got the best hair in the business.
That comes up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's get a break in. 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Our newest wreck was Yarborough Road and Ford's Chapel. They paged that one out with injury and possible entrapment, but I don't see that Himsey's assigned a unit to it. We've got southbound Carl T. and Garth that was reported as an injury type. And we've got southbound County Line near Highway 20 that reported with injuries. Looks like they canceled Himsey on that one. 565 eastbound near Glen Hearns off to the side of the road. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
You'll love the expanded wine selection at Liquor Express. From special occasion to everyday table wines, they've got what you need. Meet your friends at the largest tap wall in Alabama with 105 rotating selections. Then take home a growler full of your favorite or choose from our 1,000 canned or bottled beers. Need help stocking your bar or planning your party? Liquor Express has a knowledgeable, professional, in-house staff that can assist you with anything from your bar to the planning of your special event. Visit liquorexpress.net for tasting specials, giveaways, and classes.
There's power in caring when it is put into action. Each year, our bankers serve on nonprofit boards, support our local educators, and volunteer with our hometown food bank. I'm Bobby Humphrey, Vice President of Business Development for Bryan Bank, and community service is just not a line item in our mission statement. It's who we are. Because after all, Alabama is our home too. That kind of commitment to community might not be what you would expect from a bank, but it's exactly what you can expect from us. Give us a call or stop by one of our 2 offices in the Huntsville area and experience unbeatable service and legendary results.
Bryan Bank Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 2428943, member FDIC.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? My phone rings in my office.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're the ones who take your call.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
The best in local sports talk from the 256. We are local.
When you're number one, you don't have to worry.
We are award-winning. Thank you for listening. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You'll be set for life.
My sister's bouncing on the wall.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Signing day has come and gone, and it's a huge topic, and we've still been wrapping everything up. But the other one is the college football playoff.
What in the hell was that?
I don't know. Squirrel.
I'm just talking about all this dancing over on
I'm
the.
seeing the chicken wings. I just saw.
No,
the
you're
chicken
looking at
wings on the
food.
bottom of
You're looking at the
screen.
Wing Kings.
I'm looking. Woo,
Lord.
man! Need some of those.
Look out!
Need some
The
of
Wing
those.
King.
Wow, those
Wing
look
King
good.
Plus.
It's up there on North Parkway.
Is it?
Yeah.
I was looking at the goofy dancing up top. Missed the wing, so you said something. At least I didn't miss them.
Anyway, the college football playoff, people are still reacting to this, and it's college commissioners are reacting. Big 12 is getting in on the thing now.
Boo hoo hoo.
Brett Yormark.
Boo
We gotta talk about
hoo
that.
hoo.
But so is Cam Ward. I don't know if you heard this.
I don't care.
Cam Ward got the Offensive Player of the Year in the ACC.
Who?
Cam Ward was asked yesterday about Miami being below Alabama in the rankings. Here was his response. It's not very long, but here was his response.
I mean, at the end of the day, them boys who in that committee, I really doubt if they watch tape or not. I mean, you can't. I mean, we're a 10-2 team. I'm not saying Alabama's not a good team, which they are, but we talk about them points. That's not even the biggest factor, I believe. We got a top 25 defense. We got the best defense in the country. So, both sides of the ball.
Okay.
Best teams in the country, but I mean,
top 25 in the
ACC.
ACC. Give me a break.
Puts points on the board left and right, whether it's passing, whether it's throwing. We got two great running backs in the backfield and Dame and Mark. So,
and you got the refs in your pocket because they bailed you out against Cal Berkeley and Virginia Tech. You're a clown. You should have lost 4 or 5 games. Go away.
It's just hard. I mean, I did what I could. The team we control.
What was the score of the Syracuse game in the early? Was it 21-0 Miami? What was the final?
We didn't end up getting the job done. So we know it was all in our hands. And it got taken away from us when we lost. So it's nothing that
Because
we
couldn't
can do
close
about
the
it
deal.
now.
Because you suck.
Just sit there, be patient.
Your head coach sucks. Great guy, hell of a recruiter, but tell the truth. He can't coach his way out of a sandbox. That is the truth.
And then, as we mentioned, hell's going to freeze over because Colin Cowherd has his opinion on Alabama.
Joel Klatt, too.
And Joel Klatt.
Yeah.
Little judgy.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so the point is on this, and you're one of these reasonable people.
I try
that always tries to throw a life preserver to the sad. You're very empathetic. I am not.
Okay.
I'm going to call it out. Hey, Miami, you're playing a lousy conference. Your last your two losses, you don't beat any. You don't have a good win.
Yeah.
Okay. Alabama's got 3 losses. Ideally, I don't like that. I don't think you should have 2 mulligans. But they beat Georgia. And, losing to Oklahoma is not the worst thing in the world. They also were 3-1 against ranked teams. So I don't like them having an extra mulligan.
There's not a great option. Let's start
That's right.
there.
So I'm taking
That's
Alabama over Miami as a better option.
I think based on the strength of schedule, based on what Miami did within their ACC play, they had a very favorable ACC schedule. They didn't have to play many of the
Is
top
there any
teams
other kind?
Very rarely do I agree with Colin, but I do agree here. I mean, the SMU better hope they win. They get their opportunity to win their way in, because if they lose, they should be out too, because the league is not very good. It's a 1-bid league.
Oh, but you say that.
Yes, I say it, and I mean it.
Yes. Brent Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12.
Who? I don't even know who the hell the commissioner of the Big 12 was.
He says, and I quote, "No way should a group of 5 champ outrank the Big 12's champ."
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with that. That's one thing that does make sense. I mean, come on, Boise State, who in the heck have they played? They did play Oregon tough, but they lost.
He says strength of schedule should matter, and wins against Power 4 opponents should matter. 74% of the Big 12 wins were against Power 4 opponents this season. Meanwhile, the group of 5 is 11-80 this season. In no way should a group of 5 champion be ranked above the Big 12 champion.
Well, I mean, I will say this for your mark. I do agree with that. I think the Big 12 is better. If Boise State were in the Big 12, they'd have 5 losses, okay, 4 or 5. I don't think Boise is an elite team. I think they're going to get the hell beat out of them by the first team they play in the playoff, especially if they're
going to get a bye right now.
I know if they end up with a bye, then somebody else is going to get a bye when they play them and they beat the tar out of them. I mean, my man might get 150 yards, Genty, or whatever the heck, but they're going to get that L and they're going to go home. I don't care who they play. You know what I'm saying? Colin was talking about mulligan. Somebody's fixing to get a mulligan. Notre Dame, somebody.
Is it going to be a Walford sequel?
Yeah, probably. That's probably a good way to – I don't know if it'll be 65-3 or whatever because they're not playing in the national championship game, but it's going to be bad.
Oh, all right.
At least in my opinion.
I had to get that in there. Had to get that college football playoff talk in there. Today is Thursday, right?
It is. It's Thursday.
I just wanted to make sure. I forgot what – honestly, I
Well, I mean, heck, that's what happens when you're about to go face 145 degrees in some workout or something, man.
I know. Anyway, that'll be one of a couple today. Let's get a break in.
Remember what they said in Back to the Future? Darth Vader was going to melt his brain.
I know we got people holding,
McFly.
but we got to get a break in because we got Matt Ray on the other side. We got to talk Tennessee recruiting and football. And then we'll get to the phone calls to wrap this whole thing up.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly to partly sunny sky this afternoon, but we're going to spend a good chunk of the day somewhere in the upper 30s and lower 40s. Definitely going to be on the colder end of the spectrum. We drop into the lower 20s as we head into the overnight, early Friday morning. A mostly sunny to partly sunny sky Friday afternoon. Temperatures only climb into the low and mid 40s, dropping into the upper 20s, lower 30s as we head into the overnight. A partly sunny sky for your Saturday, but we are going to be a little bit warmer across the Tennessee Valley. Temperatures climbing into the upper 40s and lower 50s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good news. We haven't picked up anything new accident-wise. Yarborough Road in Ford's Chapel was the last one reported. Still may be working to clear it. And they've cleared Carl T. and Garth. That one had some southbound blockage reported with an injury, but it should be out of the way now. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Who run it? 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 Who run it?
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Scott will be running.
Supposedly. I'm supposed to be outside today playing as well.
Hey, you're going to play pickleball and it's 37 degrees.
At 3 o'clock, yeah.
That's some toughness.
Apparently I am.
Watch that patella tendon, bro.
At 3 o'clock, it's going to be 37 degrees outside.
Wow.
So we will have to dig out the that's all right. I got good people that have given me good stuff. Anyway, Tennessee. We talked a lot about Alabama. We talked a lot about Auburn.
Yeah.
But Tennessee, I mean, shoot. They're in the playoffs.
They're in the playoff. They're trying to.
Josh Heupel and company building. I mean, another solid recruiting class as well. I mean,
no doubt. And now they're in kind of the David Sanders waiting wait period here because he's arguably the top prospect in their class. I know they really want to get him in. As far as I know, he wasn't expected to sign yesterday. We're going to talk to our next guest, who we haven't featured in a while, but he does a great job with Brent Hubbs and all those guys as far as VolQuest on 3, covering Tennessee recruiting extensively. My man, John Garcia, who's now with Rivals, put me onto this guy several years ago, and he does an outstanding job and so well-versed. And much like Jason Caldwell, a lot of legwork, a lot of face time with prospects, and he does a great job with On 3 Sports and covering the Tennessee Vols with VolQuest, and that is Matt Ray. Matt, how you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm good, Drew. How are you, buddy?
Doing good. You're with Drew and Scott here in Huntsville. First of all, it's got to feel pretty good if you're Tennessee. You're in the playoff. You're playing a waiting game. The only thing you're grinding your teeth about a little bit is I know they'd love to have a home game in Neyland Stadium in the first round. That's kind of out of your control if you're the Vols right now, but still you got to feel good about where you're at.
Yeah, I think yesterday we heard from Josh Heupel as signing day, was somewhat wrapping up for the Vols, and I think they're happy with where they're at. They, 2 weeks ago they needed some help, and they got that help, and now, it's just about seeing where you go. You need help to get a home game. Obviously, they would love a home game, but if they end up on the road, they're fine with that. They just want to, get healthy and have a chance to go play in the playoffs now, and they have that.
Then how have they been able to how were they able to take this momentum getting into the playoffs? I mean, Josh Heupel, another 10-win season on there. How have they been able to kind of parlay that into recruiting?
It was a really, really solid recruiting class for Tennessee. Really starting back coming out of the summer, they were really successful with their official visits. They backloaded those official visits. That's something that they like to do. It's not a tactic that always is fun if you're following recruiting, because you see your top targets on Alabama's campus the week before, Georgia's campus, LSU's campus the week before. But for Tennessee, it worked out. They were able to have a successful summer and get a lot of the hay in the barn early. And, from this point forward, they've been able to work. You saw yesterday they're able to flip Jaden Perlotti from USC, Tim Merritt from Miami, able to play the long game with a guy like Isaiah Campbell, who was one of their top defensive line targets despite being committed to Clemson, since January. Obviously, he opened things up a little early. That wasn't a flip at the end of the day, but Tennessee was really the reason that Isaiah Campbell was able to open some things up there late. So overall for Tennessee, a really complete class. Obviously, still waiting on David Sanders' signature, but everything continues to sit pretty well there. As the expectation is to have him on campus at some point later in the month.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask what was he expected to sign in the early period, or is he going to wait till February to ultimately to put the pen to paper or whatnot?
The expectation is he will sign, or end up on a campus somewhere, here in December. He's an early enrollee.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
And Tennessee continues to, have a level of confidence there that this thing is heading in their direction, and those around the Sanders camp have continued to have consistent, positive dialogue with Tennessee.
Were they surprised that he didn't sign yesterday? Because I know that they've been battling Ohio State, and he'd visited there, and then it seemed like everything had been ironed out, and he was going to sign yesterday. I was mildly surprised when it was reported by you guys at On 3 Sports that he was not going to sign yesterday.
Yeah, I think there was at least a little surprise there, but nothing, that really caught them off guard. I mean, in these types of recruitments, the way this one's gone back and forth down the finish line, just trying to iron out and finalize some details. For a guy that's been so engaged and in depth in the process, I don't think it caught them too off guard, but I think they were hopeful to have it done yesterday, and continue as we go in here to then the next 2 days to get it done in some form at some time.
And we're talking to Matt Ray On 3 Sports, does a great job covering the Tennessee Vols as part of VolQuest. As far as this class, it's ranked number 10 right now by on3sports.com after yesterday. You talked about Isaiah Campbell. That was a big get, no doubt about it. And then I just think since they brought him back for his second tour of duty, Rodney Garner's done a great job recruiting and developing defensive linemen. I think better than Alabama, and I think that's one of the reasons why Tennessee's won 2 of the last 3 because of how much better they've gotten up front. But as far as this class as a whole, what do you think the strength of the class is right now for the Vols?
Well, I think you've got to start with that defensive line group. As you said, Rodney has been excellent since he's returned to Tennessee. But this class that he's bringing in this time around is very strong. When you look at adding Isaiah Campbell yesterday, a top 40 player in the On3 rankings, Marion Dye, a top 100 player in the On3 rankings, Ethan Utley, Charles House, both on 300 prospects, and then Jaden Lofton kind of gets forgot at times, a guy that surged in the rankings coming out of his junior season, but his senior season was cut short due to an injury. But he's a guy that's ranked inside the top 250 of the On 300 rankings. So you got 5 really strong prospects there, and you've got Christian Gass, who can stand up and rush the passer as an edge, move inside as an inside linebacker. I think that's another position that Tennessee really stacked this time around as well, with William Inge coming over and it being his first cycle. Sometimes it's tough to get going in your first cycle at a new place, but Tennessee adds Jaden Harmon, and obviously that was a key flip for them from Alabama, and that was an intense battle, Drew. I think that was maybe one of the most intense recruitments there late in the fall. And then you add Christian Gass, you're able to fend off Georgia. You flip Jaden Perlotti away from USC yesterday, and then you have a guy like Brendan Ains, who you really liked early in the cycle. He committed to Wisconsin, and you played the waiting game, and were able to flip him there in November. So 4 guys Tennessee really likes, and 3 guys that when you look at it, and you beat out USC, you beat out Georgia, and you beat out Alabama for. Those are the types of recruiting battles you have to win to consistently find your way into the 12-team playoff.
Is there a need, though, that you look at Tennessee and say, okay, wish they probably would have gotten a little bit more of this? Is there an area where Josh Heupel kind of missed out on?
Well, I think certainly when you look, along the interior of the offensive line, just this class in general right now holds 3 offensive line, commitments, 2 signings, obviously with Nick Moore and Anthony Ogamoro's signature already in. And Tennessee really likes Ogamoro and Nick Moore a lot on the inside. They're 2 guys that they believe have high ceilings and can develop into, Moore as a center of the future, and Ogamoro as a guy that can play left or right guard and help you in other positions in a pinch. But they had Douglas Utu committed at one point in the cycle, made a big move there in the summer, and he left his official visit, committed, and announced that a few days later, ultimately he chose Oregon. And you're talking about a guy that's, top 100 in the On3 industry rankings, a guy that could have really bolstered the interior of the offensive line even more to go along, with David Sanders at tackle. Tennessee's losing some pieces along the interior of the offensive line. Just as a whole, we've seen Bison Lane transfer out. Obviously, he's been more of a reserve depth piece, but Cooper Mays, won't be back after this fall. Javonte Spraggins won't be back after this fall. That's a lot of football games played for Tennessee along the interior of that offensive line.
Well, and we know Nico Iamaleava is just getting started almost, but still, I really like the quarterback prospect. He's got underrated athleticism. He plays at Brentwood Academy, played for a good friend of mine, Andy Blackson, helped them win a state championship a couple years ago. But George McIntyre, I know Alabama was recruiting him heavily at one time. Really good quarterback prospect to continue to stack that room for Tennessee.
Yeah, I think George, his junior season for him was disappointing. He's a true competitor. He doesn't like the way that things ended for that junior season, and he made it a point to want to bounce back this fall. And I think he was able to get Brentwood into a really good spot. When you look at their record and where they ended, it's a testament to him sticking around and the guys around him buying in and believing in what they were going to try to do. They lost, a few games, but 3 of those games were to the 2 teams that will play in the state championship in Tennessee's highest classification later tonight. Baylor and McCallie lost to Baylor twice, ultimately in the first time by, less than 3 points, I believe. But for him, he's a guy that Tennessee honed in on early in the cycle. They really evaluate that quarterback position closely. And for me, he was the guy for Josh Heupel, very early on, and they were able to win out and get him back in January. And that was a key win. It went a long way in terms of momentum in this class and guys gravitating towards him. And he's a guy that's just starting to scratch the surface of his potential, in my opinion.
And Matt, I know, for the most part, they want to get David Sanders in to be a huge piece, literally and figuratively, of this class. But most of just about all this haze in the barn, you talked about how early they did it. Now, though, what shifts is the transfer portal opening. What are Tennessee's needs, in your opinion, going into next year that they need to address in the transfer portal?
Yeah, Drew, I think, Tennessee obviously probably would look to add somewhere along the interior of the offensive line, again, with a couple of those veterans leaving. The defensive line is somewhere they could look. Will they look somewhere at receiver? Will they look somewhere at defensive back, at safety? We'll see. I think here over the next 3, 4, 5 days, as more guys continue to go in, announce their intentions to go into the portal, from elsewhere and around Tennessee's roster, we'll see, how the landscape of the portal looks opening up early. The timing is very different this year compared to other years, with the portal opening, right after, signing day here. I think, to me, for Tennessee, you're going to want to address some needs, but I don't know how quickly you're going to see them make moves in the portal. I think it's going to be a deal of wanting to have the opportunity to evaluate and get the right guy. And they've been really effective there. They've been really effective in their portal additions. When you look at it over time, added Jermod McCoy, obviously.
Really good player,
he's been a heck of a player. He's been a heck of a player for them this year. They were patient in that recruitment. They were able to add Lance Hurd. Obviously, that was a big need. He's come along for them at tackle as the season has gone on. A guy like Jacoby Thomas, he was one that Tennessee honed in on early last year, safety from Middle Tennessee State. So they're very intentional, when they work in the portal. So I think it'll be interesting to see where their needs are. But I think the interior of the offensive line is the one spot that I feel like you could definitely see them go add a body, and then from there we'll see which direction they choose to go.
Well, great stuff, Matt. It's great to have you back. You do an amazing job for VolQuest.com. Let everybody know how to follow you, my friend.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Matt_Ray_, and you can find all of our work at VolQuest.com.
Happy holidays, brother. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, final break time. We'll get it in. Tomorrow's headlines next. Phone calls, maybe. We'll get it all in.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got either a wreck or a stalled vehicle northbound on the causeway coming out of Decatur. So right about the entrance to the boat launch, Decatur PD's got a unit there. It's partially blocking the number 3 lane northbound. They should be out of there pretty quick. And we had Explorer and Faro reported as a new accident. That one's coming in as a no injury. Cooler temps are here. Don't get caught without heat. D&L Refrigeration can check your system before it's too late. Discounts for military, law enforcement, and seniors. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
It all comes back to money.
Visit our store right now at zonedeals.bigdealsmedia.net to take advantage of all the best deals in the Tennessee Valley. Or just go to our website, 977espn.com, and click on the Zone Deals logo to start saving right now.
Now, as to the price.
These deals won't last long, so get yours now. Zone Deals. You'll thank us later.
A man who could easily afford to buy a vowel.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopé. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Your Rockets, I'm thinking of something totally different. Your tomorrow's headlines today. We'll get to those in a second. Let's get to the phone lines. Jeff from the Burrows with us. Good morning, Jeff.
What's up?
I was going to go, well, I don't know what you expect the Miami quarterback to say. Yeah, Bama's better than us. I know that's what y'all wanted to say. Is it Milroe's better than me? And
I mean, I know he's not going to say that. It's still funny when he says they got some kind of elite defense. Their defense isn't worth 10 cents. It's about as bad as Kentucky's offense.
Well, probably not be. I don't know that, but if I can get a win with help by the officials, I'll take it. I don't care how I get a win. If I got officials got to help me, oh well, I'll pay them off to start out. Don't make no difference to me, baby. Makes no never mind. Like Al Davis said, just win, baby. Makes no difference how. Not on the outside of bounds, it don't know this to him. You got to pay officials off, pay them off. Oh, well, we got cash. NIL, the players get it by the officials. They can get it too.
You could argue that Kentucky basketball's paid off some officials over there.
Well, we might pay. I don't give a damn if we did. Oh, well, nobody's going to catch us. They ain't got no penalties, so ain't nobody called us yet.
My thing is, though, and my thing is here is when the whole college football playoff rankings and everything else like that.
Mm-hmm.
We went away from the computers of the BCS,
right?
Because we felt like the computers were being
had too big a role
and too big of a role in the human mind. We've gone to the human mind, and now we're sitting
still
here
the same.
saying,
People still complaining.
The human mind is not doing it right. We need to go back to the computers.
Here we go. Wanting to circle around.
Yes, we're all. I mean, look, we've gone over the BCS rankings. And we've compared them to the college football playoff rankings. There's one difference.
Yeah.
One difference between the BCS and the college football playoff rankings. That's it. That's it.
Yeah,
if we would have stayed with the computers and we stayed with the BCS formula, stayed with everything, we'd still have the same 12 teams. Brandon is with us. Good morning, Brandon.
What's up?
Man, it's good to be able to hear us more after I had a loud concert last night. I'm glad my hearing's not damaged. God, it was loud.
Wow.
Did y'all see what Rick Austin and company did Tuesday night?
I did not.
They beat Spring Garden. I mean, Spring Garden beat Galesville.
Galesville,
87-4.
87-4.
And it was scoreless through like 3 quarters into the fourth quarter. And I think Rick said, I better let them score or I'm going to be in every newspaper in the state.
Well, I mean, that's they play at a very high level at Spring Garden. They take it very seriously.
They couldn't even inbound the ball.
Yeah. I mean, we heard stories about that when we were over there, about them playing teams that were saying they couldn't even get the ball inbounded.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you see a team that's hungry, that just wants the hell out of it, they epitomize it.
Oh, they do. It's a very special place, man. There ain't a speck of dust on the floor anywhere in that place.
No, it's immaculate.
It is immaculate and pristine.
When you look at the scoreboard and it's 66-0, and you're looking around like, is this real? Am I in the right spot? Like,
I want to say they've done that in a state championship game where they were up like 30-32 to nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what got this whole thing going. The whole
Right.
intention was, here's a team that's
They're playing against the highest level teams in their classification and just dominating.
Yes.
I mean, unreal.
The only team that could give them a whooping was that Tennessee team last year, and
Right.
they were out of this world.
Yeah.
But I couldn't believe that. We were sitting there the other night, and I'm like, is this team going to score? And we get through half the game, and I'm like, they haven't scored. What the hell is going on? We get in the third quarter, they still ain't scored, and I'm thinking, I was like, some of these parents are going to break out a ball bat here in a minute if we don't,
Were they playing Kentucky's offense in football?
Playing Miami's defense.
Or against Miami? Yeah.
Miami's defense.
Yeah. They're playing defense like Miami and, making Jeff mad.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you, Brandon. Have a great
By
weekend.
the way, the Collie Matrix poll,
Yeah.
West Collie,
Yeah,
UAH,
yeah.
part of the BCS formula.
Yep.
Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, SMU, Indiana, Georgia, Boise State, Iowa State, Alabama, and BYU.
Wow.
Those are the 12. Miami, not in it.
F. They still don't have a stadium either.
By the way, Tennessee would not be in it if it was the West Collie poll because he has Tennessee at 17.
They have such a great football program that you can charter 3 buses for students and nobody shows up.
Oh, but
bunch of has-beens.
Hey, the ACCs, at least they have basketball.
Another crap conference. That's what it stands for.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your